What's up YouTube? My name is Amisbro. For this video we are going to be doing episode 33 of the anime review series. And this go round we are taking a look at the series Wolf's Rain, brought to us by the studio known as Bones, and also brought to us by Fuji Television in Japan. It was licensed in the US by Bandai Namco, and it ran from January 6, 2003 to July 29th, 2003, and ran for 26 episodes. We are covering only the 26 episode series. There are 4 of us. No, I did not watch them. And I probably would have had the series been a little bit better. Okay. Let's get started by talking a little bit about the story. The story goes like this. According to an old legend, when the end of the world comes, a place known as Paradise will appear. However, only wolves will know how to find it. Although wolves are believed to have been hunted to extinction nearly 200 years ago, they still exist, surviving by casting illusions over themselves to make themselves appear human in a town called Free City, which is a northern human city in a world where the majority of people live in poverty and hardship. Now, okay, what we need to understand here is, well, we have a lot of characters that end up coming into play. Not the least of which, we have Kaiba, the White Wolf. We have a character named Sume, who's also a wolf. We have Hige and Tobo. Tobo is spelled T-O-B-O-E. And it's also one of the coolest characters in the entire series, but that's a whole other story. They are being hunted at the start by a sheriff named Quint, Q-U-E-N-T, and his, what he believes is only a dog, Blue. Alright, so we're getting somewhere with this. Well, while they're being hunted, there's another story that goes on with a flower maiden. The flower maiden is named Cheza, and she was found by a woman named Cher, who was at one time married to a gentleman named Hub. Now I'm going by first names only because trying to remember first and last names is ridiculous. Well, Cheza ends up getting abducted by an individual named Lord Darcy. Now I would like to tell you that there's only one Lord Darcy, but I can't. There's actually 2 that show up in the series. They do not differentiate which one is which. You literally only hear them call the character Lord Darcy. One has a lover named Harmona, and he is hoping that Cheza could help, I guess, either bring Harmona back or what. I couldn't really understand the whole gist of that. There's actually a lot of things I couldn't understand the gist of in this series, to be honest. And that's a problem. See, how do I explain this? I watched every episode. I even watched the recap episodes. I understand the relationships between certain characters. Like Hub and Cher were one-time husband and wife. They're divorced. I understand that Tobo had a human that looked after him, and when she died, the bracelets that he wears on his wrist or his one leg actually came from her. So that's pretty cool. Sume is actually a bit of a bandit. He and his group actually are seen at the beginning of the series stealing from a train, or robbing it rather, and that's an interesting thing to see. So okay, there's a lot of interesting moving parts that happen in this series. So you would think it's a really well done series. My problem is, a lot of the time when you're watching it, a lot of nothing happens. Like, okay, forget that there's 4 filler episodes, 4 recap episodes. A good portion of the series is literally done doing nada. So when you're sitting here watching it, and if you're like me and you end up reporting on it, you're trying to understand how certain things go into the flow of the story. Realistically, it's hard. And see, this is one of those series where if you were able to limit the cast enough, it would be easier to care for everybody. The thing of it is because they give you so many characters to really give a shit about, you end up with, how to explain it? You end up with having too little emphasis on one character that you think may need the build-up, and too much on another. So you're emotionally detached to when certain things happen. Don't get me wrong, there are a lot of good action sequences that occur in the series. The problem is they're so sparse that, let's do it this way. Maybe I was watching the series wrong, but maybe I was hoping for something that was a little bit more action-packed, because the opening theme song actually makes you think that there's going to be a lot more action than it turns out to be. What ends happening is you'll watch episodes where there's a lot of story they tell you, but if it doesn't really grab your attention and grip you, you can't really get behind the characters and their motivation. You know that the pack, that we're going to call them, is trying to get from Free City to a place called Paradise. Well, they give you 26 episodes to be able to tell the story of them going from point A to point B. The thing of it is from episode 15 to episode 18, they literally do a recap episode. This is no joke. A recap episode for each one of the characters on how they got from where they were to where we currently are. Do you know what you could have done with those 4 episodes? You could have got us closer to the actual ending of the series, instead of putting them in 4 overs, which actually is goddamn lazy. Like, okay, I'll use Diabolic Lovers for this. Do you know the difference between Diabolic Lovers OVA and the OVAs for this series are? Okay. Diabolic Lovers OVA introduces 4 new characters. 4 new characters which will be brought in for the 2nd season, which starts in October. The 4 OVAs that they did for Wolf's Reign are supposedly the real ending. Lead you to the real ending. I'm sorry, what? So instead of giving the people the real ending, you dick them over by giving them 4 OVAs which lead to that ending. that's not cool, Holmes. And for the people that will probably say about, well, Brothers Conflict did the same thing. Okay, but that was one episode, and that was like that was like an over, and it was like one episode, and in the grand scheme of things, if you already read the manga in some way, you already knew who she picked. So go off with that, you know. And plus, if you're playing the Otome games, you're basically choosing whoever you want anyway. So don't even bring that argument here. What stunned me more than anything when I watched this series is there are characters that I liked, but the story didn't do a good enough job to get me to care about them. I think part of that was because to get to the really fun action bits, there was a lot of downtime and a lot of stuff to just drug. I swear to you, I was watching episodes bored out of my mind because I didn't think I was getting my time's worth. Because I watched 6 to 7 episodes a night for 26 episodes, okay? For me to do that, especially for a series, especially for a job that I'm doing, I'd rather do it when I know the episodes are going to be bam, 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 and you give me action for 23 minutes. But if you're going to give me 23 minutes and you bore the living shit out of me, that's not good. We can't have that. I mean, my God. I watched a 10-episode season of Black Butler called Book of Circus and enjoyed the hell out of it. Minus the way they did the ending, but I understand why they did it. This series, you give me 23 minutes, you bore the crap out of me. Don't do that. That's one of my biggest gripes about entertainment in general. 23 minutes should feel shorter or like 23 minutes. It shouldn't feel like I watched 45 to an hour. And that's what happened here. Now, that's based on the story and its pacing, which we've already discussed now. Let's talk about the animation. I love the animation because it was an older style. It was kind of like something that came out of, to bring it more to more recent times, it's something like Terror Resonance, which I really liked, but that was also 11 episodes long, right? Okay, and they also did a very good job of getting me to give a shit about the characters through each episode. Here, because of the way they were having to develop a billion characters instead of focusing on the main characters, it kind of takes you away from what you should be doing. And before anybody even bothers to say that K-Project, like I said, had a bunch of characters, you're right. But the big thing is they focused, they had their central focus and they did it. They had their central focus in the movie, and they did it. There wasn't a point where you watched the episode and you went, yeah, what am I watching? Because you're either on the edge of your seat or you're wondering what's going to happen next. Here, you're just wondering if you're going to fall asleep for 23 minutes. And they didn't give you really any reason, as far as I'm concerned, to invest in the characters. You didn't give me a hook. What was the big purpose? Well, the big purpose was to see if they can get to paradise. Okay, did they do that in 26 episodes? No, we got another 4 episode over to do it. No, I'm sorry, that doesn't fly with me. Again, like I said, the animation though was good. I did like some of the characters, but I always say this, and this is something I want you to think about. Do you know the difference between a memorable character and a character you remember their name is? Okay. A memorable character is someone that does something or says something in the series that makes you remember them from the time you're watching the series to beyond. Okay? A character with a name, however, is just that. Somebody who has a name. And there's nothing really identifiable about them. There's nothing really special. There's something special about Saruhiko Fushimi or Reise Munakata from K-Project. There's something special about Kuroko from Kuroko's Basketball. There's something special about, let me think, who's another one? There's something about Ichino's Takoya, or Haito from Yutapri, or Aimakai's, or Canis from the series. There is something about each one of those characters that is identifiable and distinguishable and will make me remember them 10 years on when the series is over. I've watched 26, and by the way, those seasons are 13 episodes long. I watched 26 episodes of this. I realistically want to forget that I watched it now. And you know what's really sad? Do you know what my hook was for watching this? Mamoru Mayato played one of the lead characters. He played Kiba. There you go. That's it. That was my only real hook. That, and I actually had the DVDs at one point. I had at least one of the DVDs. And I remember now why I never really went out to go and keep purchasing the DVDs, because I really had no interest in it. I'm going to suggest that you pass on this series unless you're the type of person that enjoys more story than action. And that's cool if you do. Look, if you do, and I do to a degree, that's cool, but you don't want to feel bored, and that's what ended up happening for 26 episodes, 23 minutes each. And the payoff at the end wasn't really worth it for me. Especially considering that they actually took the payoff and they put it in a 4-episode OVA. I'm not doing that. So I can't really recommend this series, and I really wanted to be able to. I did. However, you know why I can't, and I'm going to have to say pass on this one. The next series we will be looking at, beginning next week, weather permitting, will be Sorcerer Hunters. So, until next week, my friends, I will talk to you probably Friday. Take care. Bye-bye.